Hey guys, Terry White from the Terry White Tech Blog here, and I'm sitting inside my Tesla Model S the night before my road trip. That's right, it's a pre-road trip checklist. So the night before I'm going to do two things. I'm going to tap on controls, and in the controls I renamed my trip A to Tampa, but of course it doesn't know when the trip starts, so it's been clocking the miles of my last trip, or my last drive. I'm just going to reset that now, so that I start out fresh in the morning with 0 miles and 0 energy used. All right, the next thing I'm going to do, and this is something most Tesla drivers do before a trip, is I currently have 141 miles approximately on the battery, and normally on a day-to-day basis I charge up to 90%. I just set that and it automatically stops charging at 90%. It's just less wear and tear on the battery. But for a trip, you're going to change your charge limit, and you're basically going to take it all the way up to 100%. So that way, when I plug it in and charge it, it will charge at the up to 100%. So I start with a maximum range in the morning on my trip. All right, I'm here in my garage. I've got my Tesla high-powered wall connector here. This is an option. You don't have to have the Tesla high-powered wall connector. You can just go with a standard 220 volt outlet and use the mobile charger that comes with the car. But I like this one for convenience, and simply press the button on the charger. That will automatically open the door, and then I just plug it in. That's it. It will turn green, letting me know it's charging. It's now going 11 miles an hour, 15, 13, 14, 16, and it will get up to about 35, 36 miles an hour with my charger and the voltage that I have. So right now it's saying it's going to take about 3 hours and 20 minutes to fully charge up to 100%. I expect that to drop down closer to maybe 3 hours from where we are right now. But that 28 miles an hour will keep rising as the charging stabilizes. So yeah, it's already down to 3 hours and 15 minutes. It'll just keep going down, and it's already up to 30 miles an hour. So that's how you charge at home. Just wake up, fully charged every day. All right, cheers guys. Next segment, we'll be heading out on the road. All right, it's Monday morning. It's time to do the load out for the trip. I'm standing at the front of my Tesla Model S, and this is where I tend to keep equipment, camera equipment, things like that. That way, if you ever valet your car, one of the things that's not accessible besides the glove compartment is the front. So if you're looking to store valuables, that's probably one of the safest places to do it inside the car. I've also got my handy GoPro mounted on my Archon mount for some dash cam footage along the way. And of course, plenty of space left in the trunk. All right, so with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect the charger. And in a second or two, that'll close the door. There it goes. And put this back on its mount. All right, good morning, everyone. Woke up this morning. We're fully charged and ready to go for our first Tesla road trip. Now, when you get in your car, if you've got it configured, one of the first things that will pop up is your calendar. And what's cool about that is if you put a calendar entry in with an address, like I do on my calendar on my phone, then when you tap that calendar entry, it actually tells the navigation system to plot a route to that location. So in other words, you can just tap on your next appointment and it will begin the routing process. So I'm going to go ahead and say navigate to that spot. And what that's doing now is it's not only plotting the route, but what you can see at the very top is it says it's finding superchargers for the trip. Because although we have a full charge, it's going to take twice that to make it all the way to Tampa. So it looks like we're going to stop.
Proceed to the highlighted route onto the Lakes Drive.
We're going to stop. There's only 3 stops. So normally there would be a stop in Macon, Georgia, but looks like we don't need that stop this time because we're going to arrive in Tifton, Georgia, with a 13% charge. Now, of course, this could change along the way, depending on how fast you drive, depending on the road conditions, depending on the weather, depending on how cold it is. because cold does affect the battery. But you can also see at each stop, it tells you how long you would stop and need to charge. So first stop's going to be 30 minutes, which is great because I'll need about 30 minutes to stretch my legs, eat breakfast, so forth and so on. Then the next stop's 20 minutes, next stop's 25 minutes, and then we arrive at the Holiday Inn. All right, so with that said, let's go. Let's open the garage door. And I see it going up. I've also got a GoPro on the dash for some dash cam footage. All right, here's a quick trip update. We're about 135 miles out from the first Supercharger, which is Tifton, Georgia. Still slated to go to that one instead of stopping at the one before that one in Macon, Georgia. It says we're going to have about 6% battery left. And I'm on the trip consumption app as well, which also keeps updating based on your speed and everything else that you're doing. So now, I took it out of Autopilot because a lot of people are very interested. Every time I show someone my car, the first thing they say is, well, does it really drive itself? And yes, it does. So I am driving right now. So I am controlling the speed, the accelerator, the steering, basically like any other car. Now, there's a little stalk over here on my left-hand side here. I'm going to go ahead and just double tap that towards me twice, and you'll hear a beep. And that basically took it into Autopilot. Now it says, please keep your hands on the wheel. And if you take your hands off the wheel, in other words, if it doesn't detect your hands, I don't know what the time is, maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds, something like that, it will start to flash at you to let you know you need to keep your hands on the wheel. So I've had my hands off the wheel for a few seconds here. I don't know, you can count how long I've had it off the wheel. Of course, I'm ready to grab it at any time, which is the whole idea, that you still have to be a conscious driver behind the wheel. That's why I'm not holding the camera. Victoria's holding the camera for me. And so far so good. So we're going around a curve, and it's doing the curve nicely. It's keeping the distance between me and that car in front of me, even if it has to lower the speed to do so. And of course, if that car wasn't in front of me, then it would speed up to the speed that I set as the max speed. I'm just waiting for the hands, put your hands back on the wheel indicator so I can show you what that looks like. Okay, it just popped up. Hold the steering wheel and the whole center console starts flashing white until I grip the steering wheel long enough for it to know that there's someone here, and then it resets that timer of however long that was before it warns me again. So, Autopilot's awesome for a long trip. It's awesome for any highway driving or traffic driving like this. You definitely want to and have to stay alert and keep looking at the road. If your car crashes because of Autopilot, it's your fault, not the car's fault, because you're the driver. You're supposed to be able to take control at any time. And Autopilot's more of a convenience for you to be able to relax while you drive, a little bit more than you would if you had to control everything the entire time. So that's my Autopilot demo. All right, folks, we arrived safely at the Tifton, Georgia Supercharger, and I plugged in and we're already supercharging. It's climbing, but right now we're at a rate of 252 miles an hour, significantly faster than my 35 miles an hour at home. So it says it's going to take about 40 minutes before we can continue the trip. There are some restaurants nearby. There's a Wendy's, there's an Olive Garden, but I think we're going to head over there to that Starbucks. All right, so what have I learned in this segment? Trust the car. The car was exactly right. It said we get here with about 5 or 6% battery left, and that's exactly what we got here with. Actually 5% instead of 6%, but it changed at the last minute because I was speeding. So about 3 hours in, we left at about 7 a.m. It's now about a little after 10. So 3 hours in, and Tifton, Georgia, first stop. And then the next stop is in Florida. I think it's Lake City, Florida. and then the final stop will be Ocala, Florida. So 3 supercharger stops on the way inbound to Tampa. All right, the car does a good job of alerting me that I have enough energy to continue the trip. So in other words, I don't have to charge up all the way every time. You just need enough charge to get to the next station. So that way it can save you time and you don't have to spend 40, 50, 60 minutes at a station. You can spend 15 to 30 minutes. So we stayed a little bit longer, and according to the dash, we got about 208 miles of range, which is plenty to get to the Lake City, Florida station. All right, let's go. All right, we're made it here to the Lake City Supercharger. There is one Model S already here charging. She might be ready to leave though. And several stations open. Out of the 6, there's 5 left. And we arrived with, now let's take a look here. Let's look at our consumption. We're at 28% battery. So not bad. And we only need to charge for 15 minutes, but like I said, we'll probably stay here a little bit longer and eat lunch. And that way we'll spend less time at the next charger. In Florida, in Tampa, actually Oldsmar, Florida, and I choose to stay at this particular Holiday Inn, as you might guess the reason why. They have destination chargers in the parking lot specifically for Teslas. What more could you ask for? It's that sad time of day on a Friday morning. It's time to leave the beautiful sunny Florida, Tampa Bay area. Although it's not that warm. It's only like 55 degrees. Got a full charge here at the Tampa Bay, Westin Tampa Bay. They have a Tesla destination charger on site. I've already punched in let's go home, and it looks like we're gonna hit 3 superchargers on the way home. First one is going to be Lake City, so we're going to skip Ocala. We're going to charge at Lake City for at least 30 minutes. I'll need a 30-minute break by then. And then we're going to hit Tifton, which we stopped at before. And now we're going to do the Macon Supercharger. That was the one we skipped before. So let's go ahead and hit the road. We're on the road with the Tesla Model S. Let's go. Well, guys, we made it home safely. The trip was amazing. I had a very busy, productive week in Oldsmar, Florida. Working and recording content and doing all kinds of cool things, but the trip was freaking awesome. The Tesla Model S performed admirably, no problems, no range anxiety except for maybe that first stop, but everything worked as planned. The car did what it was supposed to do. It made a long road trip, basically 9-10 hours, a dream to do. Normally I don't drive more than 4 or 5 hours before I get fatigued, but having the car that does autopilot was just freaking awesome. So no problems going all the way down, no problems heading all the way back. Friendly people along the way, the superchargers work perfectly, and I can't imagine ever going back to a fossil fuel car, a gasoline powered car. There's just no turning back. This is the way of the future. As a matter of fact, when I got home, there was even a software update waiting for me to make my car better. And where in the world do you get that? Like, where do you buy a car that just keeps getting better with over-the-air software updates for free, that just keep making the car better and better without having to buy a new car? Also, all my superchargers stops were free because I have a Tesla Model S, and I'm going to give you a link that if you get a Tesla Model S or Model X, you'll also get free supercharging. So with that said, thanks for watching, everyone. Take care, and we'll catch you on the next one. See you on the road.